Hey guys! So, Brittany from Palm Tree Bewitchery recently talked about, or did a video on the process that she's been going through with the Book of Shadows. And I know I've made a few videos on this, and I've talked a little bit about what I've been going through the last few months with mine, but I kind of thought I would just do a little update because it's funny, the approach that she ended up going with is scrapbooking, and I had toyed with the idea for a while and then ended up kind of doing the same thing. So, because I always had this image in my head of how I wanted my Book of Shadows to look like. And, I'm gonna grab one more thing here. And then I realized that I was being too much of a perfectionist about it. So I decided to have a separate journal and this is what I call my Book of Mirrors. I know this is not my coined term. The Book of Mirrors is basically like more of a journal tracking synchronicities and journaling about your spiritual thoughts and that kind of stuff. So I decided that to stop being such a perfectionist about what goes in here, I could use this for all of the journaling that I wanted to do for my spiritual path. And once I use this up, get another one. And that kind of freed up a lot of how this process was going to work for me, because then I could take this and turn it into a work of art that I wanted. Because I really wanted it to be artistic. And I have shown this a little bit. Like I said, I've talked about my process with this, but I will reiterate. So my Book of Shadows, I bought probably, I want to say a little over 10 years ago at Barnes & Noble. Because I always wanted to have like the leather, of course. I didn't really want a really big one. So, it's, standard book size basically. And then I took this and I just recently super glued it on here. And then, I've got tons of stuff in here. But before I flip through it, I want to talk about the process that I had started to unfold with this that really helped me get over the fear of what if I mess it up. Because I wrote in this before. And I shared this in another video, but I basically made a thought web. I'm sure you guys might have remembered doing these in school, but you basically create a bubble and then you create bubbles that branch off of it. And so I did that, and I narrowed down everything that I wanted to put in this book and everything that I wanted to put in my Book of Mirrors. And that really helped me, because then I started to take sticky notes and I started to put down where I wanted things to be and dedicate sections. And that really, really helped me start to execute what I wanted. And so I ended up going to Michael's, and for the pages that I already wrote in, I got a big thing of scrapbooking paper, and I basically just got scrapbooking tape and I made my own pages on top of the other pages. So, and I know you guys have seen this page before, and yes, I have Sailor Pluto in here, but I've also collected a ton of stuff that I intend on putting in here, and that's all put away in a certain spot. But here's my birth chart, and so the first bit I have completely dedicated to just all personal stuff for me, and I have not put an whole lot of images in here, but so I've got personal astrological information, so my sun sign, my moon sign, my ascending, all that stuff, kind of a more in-depth, because the birth chart is on this side. And then dominant elements, and kind of talking about the dominant elements in my birth chart and the elements that I connect with. And then personal symbols of power. As you can see, I have the pentacle, the elements on here. And then just a little quote that says, walk barefoot, listen to the wind, drink in the moon, and be magic. Then I'm going to go into personal tarot cards, so the tarot cards that I personally resonate with, my birth cards, things like that. I have not put up images yet for those. And then I started to talk about spiritual animals. One of them is the orca, so I've got that there. And then just my favorite blessings in quotes, words of power, that kind of stuff. And then this is going to be all about my favorite self-care practices. And I have put decorative stickers, and it says follow your bliss. So I've got like washi tape and stuff too. I've kind of just had some fun with it, but as you can see, this is all scrapbooking paper that's been taped on or glued on to the existing page. And then this is just room to expand on those self-care practices. I've left some of this blank for some room, but then we go into moon lore, moon phases. So this is just the moon phases, and then it kind of goes through each moon phase and the intent behind it. This is more to expand on that. This is a recipe for moon water, which I use frequently. More to expand on that if I need. So I have left a lot of room to explore, and I've actually really been tempted to get more scrapbooking paper and continue to make these pages, or just have some blank, like the original book. Oops. So yeah, I've got a couple blank pages here, and then this is just a blurb I wrote in 2011 about basically kind of ethics a little bit. And this was something I had gotten a psychic reading done in 2012, and I wrote down my experience in my Book of Shadows. This is the fertility spell that I used to conceive both my children. This is a call to the Morgan. I don't work with her anymore, but I intend on keeping this in here just because it's just part of my progression into my path. And then artwork that Brittany sent me. I think the artist is named Kim Harrison, if I'm not mistaken. And then, you know, I've got blank pages, and then I'm going to go into time. So seasons, days, hours, and then the sabbats. So I plan on putting artwork, personal traditions, lore, and recipes in here. So this is all in the sabbats. This is for winter solstice, so this will start that section. And then I know I put in, this is for Maimon. And then herbs are not a huge part of my practice, but I do want to have a little bit on herbs in here, just because there are some that I generally work with. So this whole section is going to be types of magic. So it's going to be healing, reverence, cleansing, blessing, empowering, charging, warding, cursing, banishing, cosmic, weather, all that stuff. And then I have just little bits on Palo Santo and sage, and then I plan on doing cedar, because those are the big cleansing herbs. So this is going to be the section on the cleansing, the most common cleansing herbs. And these are actually pieces that I took from, I used to be subscribed to Witch Baby Soap's subscription box, and so they used to send out little booklets that had a lot of different information on a lot of different witchy stuff. So I just took those and kind of cut them out and put them in my Book of Shadows. And then I'm going to write up my own one on cedar here and paste it in. And then this is another thing from Witch Baby Soap. It's just all about candle magic. And let's see here. Yeah, so I've left a lot of room for the types of magic because there's a lot to go over there. And then elements, earth, air, fire, water, spirits is all going to be here. I'm probably going to print off another copy of the elemental pentacle and put it in that section as well, because I love that image. And then I'm just going to do a little bit on crystals, mostly just kind of by ailment, like what they generally help alleviate, or the things that they can help with. And this has just got a little crystal cleansing here, and then elemental correspondence of those crystals, and personal favorites of mine, and then just a little information on crystal grids. So I've got some images here just for fun. And then this is in here just for fun. This is a card that my friend Raquel, the Barefoot Taurus here on YouTube, gave me for my birthday. And then I have a whole section on divination, because divination is my thing. Like, I love divination. It's just always been my love for my practice. So this is actually an image from a vendor who is on Etsy and on Instagram. I think her handle is Nixtura, if I'm not mistaken. I have some pins from her, and she's fantastic. But this is her photograph. She sends postcards when you purchase stuff from her, so I taped it in here, because it's very fitting for divination. I really want that altar tile that she makes. It's gorgeous. But for divination, I have tarot, runes, scrying, pendulum, and tea leaf, because those are the primary ones that I either work with or want to work with. I have a teacup that I actually am probably going to like paint into a tea leaf reading one. I'll show that to you guys once I do that. But I left a big section for divination because it's my love. And then I have hearth magic, so things on house deities and the deities that I work with for my household, home crystals, kitchen witchery, warding and banishing, and then just family magic, so, you know, warding off nightmares for my kids and bath magic and that kind of stuff. And I thought that this was a really fitting, again, by the same artist I just mentioned, a really fitting picture for that, just an altar. I like it. She's got some beautiful photos. And she does sell prints of her photos on her Etsy too. I will link her, actually, since she's been mentioned in this video. And then I have a birthday card that drew She Who Walks Between the Worlds made me, and she said a lot of very beautiful things in here, and I just really loved it, so I wanted to put it in my Book of Shadows. And then I have stuff on deity. This is going to be a whole section on the deities that I've worked with, and then just kind of room for expansion just in case any other deities come into my life, because at the time it had been a good solid 3.5 years before any other deity had showed up. So it was just Freya and Odin, but as you guys all know, I've started working with Santa Morte. So it's just going to be personal interactions, correspondence, experiences, devotionals, candles, oils, incense, lore, prayers, and imagery. Prayers and devotionals are also going to be put in my Book of Mirrors. So, and then I threw the sticker in here because I'm going to use it when I do the section on Santa Morte. So I've got Freya kind of laid out here. I'm going to put my favorite images of her, and then she's got a handful of pages. Because Freya's my main lady. And then I've got a whole section on Odin that I'm going to start working on. And, you know, it's just going to kind of go from there. I have more room to move back and forth. That's the glory of doing these sticky notes, because you can kind of, oh, I don't really want this here anymore, and if you haven't started on it, you know. And then I was going to do some stuff on Yggdrasil as well, because I actually see Yggdrasil a lot in my astral travels, so I think that it would be really important to have some of that in here as well. And then the last section I've just dedicated to signs and symbols, so weather lore, animal signs, you know, if you see a certain animal, it means this, or the whole, one thing I can think of for like weather lore is the whole red sky at night thing, sigils and signs, just all that stuff. So kind of more like superstition, whatnot, for fun. So, and this is, as soon as I get further into this, it's going to have a very, like, kind of scrapbooky feel. Much like this, because this is a completed page. So I've got some stickers, and I've got my birth chart and some things here. But as I go further into it, there's going to be more images pasted in. I might do more of the scrapbooking paper as backing. I'm not quite sure yet what I'll end up doing, but that is the progress I've made so far on my Book of Shadows, and that is kind of the process that I have done that has helped me and what has worked for me. So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys getting over that hump with your Book of Shadows. I am a creative type, so I really wanted this to be an expression of art for my spiritual practice. And coming to that conclusion is what helped me tremendously in just getting over, I'm going to move the camera up so you don't have to sit there and stare at my stomach. Ow. Of course I bang things. Getting over that what if I mess it up, or what do I do? How do I get started? It took me so long to get over that stuff and to just really dive into it. And once I started creating, I felt for a while there that I couldn't stop, until finally I was like, I think I'm gonna just rest for a bit and put my focus on something else. And that's the great part, is that I can come back to it when I feel that itch where I'm like, all right, I think it's time to work on my Book of Shadows again. And all I really did is I bought scrapbooking tape, scrapbooking paper, and some stickers and stuff to go with it. And like, it's kind of got that bullet journal feel, but it's not exactly a bullet journal, because I didn't really want to do a bullet journal personally. It just seems like a lot of work to do for something that I'm not... for something that's so short term, I guess is the best way to put it. And I want to keep this for a long time, and if I fill it up, that's the coolest part, is I can make another. So, I really recommend trying to take this kind of approach, because it helps a lot, and it's helped me, and I cannot tell you guys how much of a huge hump this was for me to get over. It was huge for me to get over. So, hope this was helpful. That's my process on my Book of Shadows so far. So I will give more update videos as I do more work in it. I don't mind sharing, because all the more personal stuff is in here. So that's fine. This is just a book of art, basically, that I just want to share because it's hard work, and I love to inspire too. So with that being said, that's it for this video, and blessed be, guys.